Welcome back to our channel. In this video, we're going to show you 5 of the most effective exercises to take you from here all the way down to here in just 6 months.
When it comes to the front splits, it's not about stretching, it's about building strength in the hamstrings as well as the hips. So the first exercise is going to activate our hips, and then we're going to move on along to the most difficult one. So make sure you stick around. So the first thing we're going to focus on is the front split trio. You're going to get into a half lunge position, making sure that you're not sticking your booty out. This is key. We want to tuck the pelvis. You see, this provides this stretch that we're looking for in the hip. Once we have this activation, we're going to pulse for 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. You're going to feel it burning here. You don't stop. You push forward, you elongate the hip, take your knee past your toe, and then you pulse the back leg in this position by driving the heel towards the ground. I'm not going up and down, I'm staying low and I'm pulsing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Your hips are going to be burning by this point. You stay there, don't move. You're going to go up all the way and down into the lunge. Keep it active, keep it straight. Keep pushing the back heel towards the ground. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're going to hold this last position for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stand. If this doesn't set your hips on fire, nothing will. Make sure you're staying active and elongated the whole time through and moving through the 3 patterns without break. If you want to make this exercise a little bit easier, you can elevate your front foot onto a small plate, which will reduce the range of motion and allow you to lunge deeper. Also, if this is your range of motion, it's totally okay to stay here. You can pulse from there, and you can also lower and raise from there. You don't have to get all the way here if you're a beginner. And that is your front split trio.
Next up, we have the split squat. Now, this is one of my favorite movements for strengthening the end ranges through the hips. It's also going to strengthen the knees and the supporting muscles. So, as we do our split squat, this is the kind of stance we want to take to begin with. We don't want to be too wide. The further apart your feet are, the more intense the stretch is going to be on the hip. However, we do want to be at a range that allows our knees to go over our toes. So as I come down, I'm going to think of my hips being pulled forward. Okay, I'm not coming down, I'm going forward. I'm traveling forward. Back up. As I come forward, I'm going to think of trying to cover my entire calf with my hamstring. My knees come past the toes, and as I drive back up from the movement, my front heel is driving into the ground, okay? You don't want to be heels up like this. Your heels should be planted on the ground, and that's where you're pushing from. Now, as you come down, my back leg, I'm going to think of keeping this as straight as possible. My back heel, I'm going to think of pushing away from me to really intensify the stretch through the hips. I'm going to go for 10 reps, and on my last rep, as always, I'm going to hold at the bottom for 10 seconds. This is where the strength is built, and this is going to burn after 10 seconds. I want to keep my torso as upright as possible, my core tight. You don't want to be leaning forward too much like this. You want to be upright, core tight, and this is the position we want to be aiming for. Drive back up, and that's your split squat. Now, if this is too hard, we can modify the movement by elevating the front foot. So I'm going to put my front foot on an elevated surface, and same thing, exactly the same as before. But this is going to compensate for lack of range through the hips. Okay, now as you build the strength, as you get more confident and as you build this range, you can then lower the surface and continue to lower the surface until you get all the way to the ground, like you just saw me demonstrate. Even this might be a bit too hard at first, so you can elevate even more, okay? But you want to be making sure you're able to straighten that back leg, drive the front knee past the toes, and keep your torso upright. And that is your split squat.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to my favorite hamstring exercise, the single-legged morning. This is the king of hamstring exercises. And if you can get anything right, you should get this right. It's going to unlock your hamstrings for the rest of your life. How do we start? We assume a position standing on one leg. This is going to require balance, so make sure that you train your balance in conjunction with your mobility. So balance, lock the knee, and you're going to think about arching your lower back. So stick the booty out. Once you have this position, stick the booty out, you're going to think about pulling your tailbone up to the sky as you lower your belly button towards the floor. Once you lose this arch in your lower back, so once you start to round, you stop. You don't go any lower. You stop and you reverse the motion. Then you arch and lower. So it's almost like a little tilt of the pelvis first, and then you lower your chest. So you're going to repeat this for 10 reps in a dynamic fashion. And then you're going to pause for 10 seconds in the last rep. If this is too painful on your knees, or if you can't maintain the balance, you can rest your back leg slightly and then make the knee soft. So not completely locked, just shy of unlocked, and then do the same thing. I think about driving my tailbone up to the sky, and I think about lowering as far as I can maintain a nice flat back. This one you're going to feel all the way from your glutes down to your Achilles. It's going to burn. It's going to build resilient hamstrings and really increase the strength of the fascia here. If this is too difficult for you and you can't balance, another thing that you can do is you can come onto a wall, something stable, place your back leg onto it for support, and again, assume a nice locked position and think about pushing your butt to the wall. This one also gives a really good stretch in the hamstring. Again, if you have pain in your knees, slightly keep it unlocked and drive the hips back. The ultimate goal is to get the torso parallel to the ground in a locked position. That's your single leg good morning, the king of hamstring exercises.
Next up, we have the long lunge isometric hold. Now, this is a prerequisite for the front split isometric hold, which Vanya is going to show you later. And if you're not incorporating this into your training for your legs, you are missing out. So we're going to assume a long lunge position. The further away your feet are apart from each other, the harder, the more intense it's going to be on the hip of the back leg, okay, which is what we're working here. We're strengthening the back hip through its end range. So I'm going to aim to straighten my back leg so it's fully locked out. I'm going to aim for my knee to be locked out. And I'm also going to think about driving the heel of my back foot away from me, okay, which is going to further intensify the stretch through here. My torso, I don't want to come round and twist, okay, to compensate for the lack of mobility here. My torso should be straight on, locked, hips locked, facing forward. My torso wants to be upright, okay? Core should be tight, not leaning forward too much. You want to be upright, okay? As I get comfortable in this movement, I want to progressively overload by adding load, okay? I'm going to aim to hold the position for 30 seconds. If you can't hold load just yet, that's absolutely fine. Do it body weight. But I want to hold 30 seconds, and by the end of that, you should start to burn. You can then progressively overload even further by adding time under tension. So you want to build up to 1 minute, 90 seconds, even 2-minute holds in this. Now the goal here is to straighten that back leg. So if you can't quite do that from the floor, you can simply elevate your front foot like we did earlier with the split squat to compensate for the lack of hip mobility. Keep your hips straight on, no compensating, no twisting here. Keep your balance, hips straight on, torso upright. Okay, and then you can progressively overload. As you get stronger, you can even add load here until you get further down and further down until eventually you can do it at the ground. And that is your long lunge isometric hold.
So if you thought that previous isometric was hard, this one's on another level. This is your front split isometric hold with both legs locked and straight. Now the goal here is to assume a position where you can kind of hold it in a very, very difficult position for 30 to 60 seconds. At this point, if you're losing balance, you can always hold on to something by your side, or you can hold onto a wall to support yourself. Make sure that both hips are pointing forward. Make sure that both legs are locked. So I'm activating my quads here. By activating the opposing muscle, I'm lengthening the other muscle. So quads are engaged, hamstrings relax. Here as well, I'm engaging my hip. So this back leg will release a little bit more because the hip is holding it for strength. I'm here, I'm holding this position, activating all the muscles using my strength. Over time, as I get stronger, I'll be able to get lower. Okay, so it's not about sitting here. Flexible people can sit in this position. This is not active. This is not using your muscles. This is using your muscles, and it's much more difficult than resting in the bottom. So even if you can get to your splits, you will still benefit by holding these positions where you find it most difficult. For some people it will be higher, for other people it will be lower. But you want to develop 30 to 60 seconds comfortably holding, and then you can even add load to increase the intensity as you go.
So there we have it, 5 of the most effective exercises to take anyone from stiff, sore and immobile to doing things such as their front splits. So in this video we covered
Front split trio, your best activation drill.
We covered the split squat,
We covered the single leg good morning, the king of all hamstring exercises.
the long lunge isometric hold.
And the much cooler variation, front split isometric hold.
That's the one. This is going to build you strength and flexibility through your hips and your hamstrings. And even on the road to getting your front splits, you're going to build so much more freedom. Things like walking will feel different, and it's going to transfer really well into sport and daily life.
You can incorporate this into your lower body days as a warm-up, as a cool down, or just whenever you feel stiff.
Aim for 2 to 3 times a week. Let us know in the comments which is your favorite, which you find the most hardest, and we'll see you in the next one.
Don't leave me hanging.